So now that we've got our blanket PO, again, another step may be that we want to go ahead and create a purchase order release. So if I were to say, okay, my blanket amount was $750 and $3,000, but I now need my supplier to send me, let's say, 25 of the desks and 25 of the chairs, just for the sake of easy numbers. So what I can do now is I can update my order date to the date that I actually want to place the purchase order with my supplier. Again, if they've got their own order number, I could reference it here in my vendor order number field. Down on the line, I would enter in the quantity to release. So I'm going to release 25 of my desks and 25 of the chair. I have the opportunity at this point to make, any other changes. I could add a different comment. I could change the description. But what I want to do once this is good to go is under process, I'm going to make this an order. So this is going to convert another set of quantities into a firm purchase order so that I can go ahead and send that to the vendor and then I can receive against it. So blanket orders, you can only make releases. You actually do your receiving and your invoicing off of the purchase order that's created and tied back to your purchase order. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make that an order. It's going to ask me if I want to create an order from the blanket. I'm going to say yes. So it lets me know that this is the purchase order number 106007 that was created from the blanket. If I want to see all of the purchased documents that have been created from this blanket, so I can see the unposted releases, I can also see what's been committed or posted against this blanket. By navigating to my line, I can go to my unposted lines. So this is going to show me purchase orders that have been created against this blanket. I would be able to see invoices that were created, return orders, and credit memos. So for right now, I'm going to click on my orders. So this shows me here that I have created 2 purchase orders where I have requested various amounts for this item for these quantities. So we can see here, this is that new purchase order that we created for 25 pieces. We can see the direct unit cost that was on that specific order. We can see the line amount. We can drill in and look at that purchase order document. So now I'm on a purchase order, which would be the place where, again, I could do the receiving, I could do the invoicing. I could also make changes from the original blanket agreement. So let's say, as an example, I wanted to change the payment terms because I need this in a rush fashion. They've said that's fine. We'll accept the release, but you're going to have different terms. They're going to be a little bit more aggressive. So we have a lot of the same that we saw in the blanket order. We've got the vendor name. We've got the contact we're dealing with. We've got the address information. But what we see down below in our invoice details is we see payment terms. So right now the system is telling us that you would need current month. So I'm going to change this to COD because, again, I've rushed this. I've really asked my supplier to do me a favor. So for this order alone, I'm not updating the original blanket. I am changing my payment terms to COD, which makes the due date match my posting date. And again, that's more of a financial function, but I can see that this document, this purchase order, has been updated only for this instance or this release. If I scroll to the right and I look at my lines, I can see, again, a lot of the same information. I see the type, I see the number, I see the description, location, the quantity that I had entered. All of this is just pulled in exactly as it was. But I do have this new field here on a purchase order, which shows me that this has been generated off of a blanket and that it's a release. From this point now, again, if I wanted to change, say for example, when I wanted this to be delivered to me, I could go ahead and I could do that on the line level. So I can update my expected receipt date with when I need that product delivered to me. So I can do it on a line level. So if the vendor has said that's fine, I can go ahead and I can deliver that second item that you really needed rushed. I need that tomorrow, but I can't get you the desks until the 26th. These dates do not have to match. If, for instance, you had made the agreement that both lines needed to be delivered on the same day, you have the expected receipt date in the header. By changing that, the system will ask if you want to modify the lines. If you want them to both match and match what's in the header, you can go ahead and say yes, and it has updated your line information. So that's also handy if you need to change the date for multiple lines. Let's say you had 20 or 30 lines on the purchase order and only 1 or 2 needed to change. You could change all of the lines and then individually go in and update the lines however you want. But the key thing to remember is just that you will set the expected receipt date on the line and that they can be different. So once you've set and you validated all of your information, you validated your quantity and your price, which really should have been done probably on the blanket side. You've indicated the date that you want it to be delivered to you. You can go ahead under print and send. You could then send a copy of the purchase order to the supplier. You can always print it as well. But once it's been sent to the supplier, the best practice really is to go under release and change the status to released. So down below what this has done is it's changed it from the open status to the release status. And then this lets everybody know, okay, the vendor is aware of this. It's on order. If you need to make a change to this, you absolutely can. You would just take your release, you would reopen, and then if you needed to, you could make a change to either your, over here, your quantity, your original order quantity, or your unit cost if needed.